Hey y'all, welcome back. I'm Jamie, that's me, and we are here for us to talk more about Love Island USA. I feel like tonight's episode was a pretty good episode. Wasn't a whole lot that took place, but it was entertaining enough, and I'm really loving to see what's happening with Miss Amaya Papaya. I have to say. Now, if you guys are new to the channel, definitely come on in, like up the video, make sure you're commenting, and also subscribing to the channel. For those of you guys that's been coming over here doing your big one, supporting your girl, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. As you guys know, we are on a journey of hitting 100,000 subscribers. So if you have yet to subscribe and you find yourself over here on the channel a lot, please make sure that you go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Okay, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, become a part of the family, a part of the community over here with Jamie. That's me. Now, Love Island USA will not just stop, okay? At least for me, it won't. I will be going into reviewing Beyond the Villa, and then my plan is also to get into Love Island games as well, okay? So make sure that you stick around. And that's just on period. All right. And we also get into other things over here on the channel that I'm sure you guys will enjoy as well. So be sure to subscribe. Now, on tonight's episode, we have to talk about it. Iris is still upset. Okay. TJ has left the villa. Miss Iris is upset about it. She's emotional. She don't want to lay in that cold bed by herself. She's like, guys, listen, I was finally getting to this place where I was about to be where y'all at with y'all couplings. Like, I started feeling like I had a strong coupling in the villa. And you mean to tell me it was snatched right from up under me? All within a day? Yeah, girl, that's how it works out here in the villa, honey. That's how it works. Now, if you that upset, I will say you can go ahead and join him. A lot of us thought that you were going to do that anyway, okay? But I also felt like you had the spirit of Hannah in you to the point where you weren't going to leave the villa like that. Not for real. Now, granted, you didn't crash out as much as Hannah did, doing all this crying, trying to lay down next to the photos and like doing all this extra stuff. Like, you weren't doing that. Now, she definitely should have left. Hannah definitely should have got the hell on. And I started to think that you might, but you didn't crash out as much as Hannah did, laying next to photos and sobbing. So I said, Iris probably not going to leave, okay? Sounds good, but she's not going to do that just too yet. Okay, not too yet. But I do appreciate TJ letting her know, like, girl, this is your journey. You know, you go on, continue your journey, and I'll be on the outside waiting for you. And yeah, because it's only going to be a few weeks. Yes, it may seem like it's an eternity, but by the top of August, they'll be back reconnected with each other in some fashion, and we'll see what's going to happen if she hasn't made that stronger connection with Pepe, if you get what I'm saying. Now, Shelley is supporting her, letting her know, like, listen, I understand TJ's not here, but guess what? We'll be here. You can wake up to us, and we're going to continue to be here to support you throughout all of this, okay? Now, it's so funny. I appreciate her doing that, and that's when you're being, I guess, a girl's girl. But, you know, y'all could have been a bit more of a girl's girl and stood behind TJ to support Iris. But you guys chose to stand behind Andrina. Right? But it is what it is. Hell, Sierra didn't know nothing about girls' code or wasn't supporting that because she went and stood behind Taylor. So, you know, it was every woman for herself and everybody made their own executive decisions. At least you guys were not a part of putting him in the bottom, though. Y'all didn't do that, okay? America's Votes did that, and unfortunately, it wasn't going to be fair because it was a lot of people standing up there, so you was going to make somebody feel away in one way or another. Taylor and Clark are recapping their night and talking about how stressful it was for them because y'all know they was in the bottom. They stayed in the bottom for a lot, so that was really stressful. He said that he hated that his decision to couple up with her pretty much put her in that position to be at the bottom, right? And Clark was really understanding. She was like, you know, it's all good. Like, you know, it wasn't your fault. He was like, well, no, it was my fault. You know, I can appreciate Taylor taking some form of ownership with that, although it wasn't really his fault, but it was his fault at the same time, you know? So I get it. And then Clark and people trying to say, oh, she's making certain faces and she's mimicking and mocking Olandria and this, that, and the other. So that's part of the reason they put her in the bottom. But I don't know if that was really Clark's intention, which was to mock Olandria, but y'all let me know. I think Clark just might have an awkward personality. So Taylor, like I said, he took full ownership of everything and said that it was his fault. And he also said he felt like choosing her put her in that really tough position. But at the end of the day, they are both glad that it's all over. Okay. They can continue their journey together with each other. And more importantly, she was like, listen, we wasn't at the bottom. If we was at the bottom together and we only could save one person, let me tell you something. Ooh, I would have been sick. Yes, you would have, girl. Yes, you would have. All right. So Shelley, she's finally chatting with Ace. Okay. She's chatting with him about America choosing them to be in the bottom. Ace says that was the most important to him as far as how she felt. Okay. He says he wanted to know where she was with things and how she would look at him. He didn't really care about how America looked at him according to him because he knew who he was before he even came into the villa. And I'm like, yeah, you say that. But at the same time, it definitely, was a hit to the ego in my personal because you were expecting us to put you up there high. Like, I don't care what Ace started saying, it didn't bother him anymore. I don't care what Ace is talking about, okay? Because, sir, you Put yourself at as the most genuine or the best boyfriend, whatever it was, and you saw yourself move further and further and further down the list. I don't care. That is a hit to the ego. Same thing with Shelley, putting herself up as the most genuine, and they put her closer to the back. Like, it was an ego hit for sure. I noticed as they were talking, Shelley decided to lean down and lay on him, and I'm like, girl, you over here laying down on Ace and chatting with him like everything's all good. I could have sworn that you were avoiding Ace for like 2 days or something. Okay, right. But you can tell Ace is still bothered, but he's just going along with it. He does give her his jacket. I guess she was cold, and she lets him know, in case you wanted to know, I do think that you're, the best boyfriend material in my personal. That's what I think. Okay. So they shared a laugh and it was cool. So Iris, she's still over there sad about TJ, right? And she talks about how she doesn't want to lay in the bed by herself because it's cold. She don't like cold beds. She doesn't like to really sleep alone or anything like that. And I'm like, girl, you have all these other people in the same room with you. It's different when you're home and you're the only person in your bed and you want to go in there and crawl into your roommate's bed, which I'm sure your roommate has to get sick of that. Iris, I feel like you're over exaggerating. Just say that you miss that warm zik. Just how you miss that zik, girl. That's what it's going to be. She going to be missing that zik. And then the other part for me is the fact that you're sitting up here saying how cold it is on that side of the bed as if it wasn't colder outside in Soul Ties. Like, hello? Hello? Oh, okay. So Chris says if Iris ends up being open again, he would genuinely be concerned. He would be concerned. And it's like, nah, you should have been concerned about Hannah. Okay. But I guess you weren't there to see all of that, even though I feel like you were watching the villa before you came in. But you should have been more, questionable when it came down to Hannah, for real. Because after we saw Hannah show her exit crash out the way that she did, in all honesty, Iris's crash out and her being upset wasn't too shocking, okay? Elin feels like she could be open again. So I think he's definitely going to take a shot at her to see if there's some form of a connection there. So Chris says, I don't know, if I care that much about a person, listen, I'm going to go ahead and leave the villa. Chris, it seems like you care so much about basketball, but you're still in the villa. So I don't know if you really would have left. You say that until it's you. Elin asks if Zach is interested in anybody, and Zach says, well, right now I have Amaya and I have Olandria. And I said, now he's saying that he rocked with Amaya heavy, and he isn't surprised that America chose her and ranked her so high. Yeah, I feel that we have a schemer on our hands, but my girl Amaya did not fall for it too much by the end of the episode. Olandria tells us that Sierra standing behind Taylor was a dagger to her heart. Right? And I'm like, okay, Olandria, girl, listen. It was a dagger to Sierra's heart, I'm sure, after it finally sunk in, thanks to Iris, that you were sitting over there kissing her man, Nick, okay? So Miss Ma'am said she apologizes. Sierra did come and say, I'm sorry if me standing behind him hurt your feelings, but I really was thinking about Nick, and I knew that he would really be hurt if Taylor left the villa, right? So basically, what is this girl stuff y'all talking about, girl? Because I'm going to stand behind my man every time. That's what it's given, okay? And I feel more about his feelings and him being hurt than I felt about you being hurt. So that's where we at with that. I chose to stand with my man and stand behind Taylor. So I chose to save Taylor. It is what it is. So that's okay. That's what she wanted to do. That's what she chose to do. It's a little piece of get back for you kissing her man. And I guess y'all even, I suppose. So Olandria ends up calling Amaya Papaya's America's sweetheart. I said, that's cute. America's sweetheart. Okay. So Pepe offers Iris to sleep in his bed. Child, did y'all catch? Did y'all catch? She was over there being miserable. She didn't want to lay in the bed by herself, and then at some point when everybody's getting relaxed, getting ready to go to sleep, what do we hear and see? Pepe offering her to stay in his bed. Now, earlier that day, when she was crying about it, I heard Mr. Nixon up there trying to recommend that she stay in their bed. Then I heard Huda telling her, you can come over here and cuddle with me. You don't have to sleep alone. We can sleep together. So everybody want to cuddle up with Iris, right? And Pepe asked her if she want to sleep right there. I said, Pepe, we see you. Pepe wants that Iris, okay? He really wants that Iris. And I said, give them enough time. I wouldn't be surprised if Iris and Mr. Pepe starts hunching real soon. They definitely stayed up all night talking. At least that's what it appears to me. Now, Shelley wants to now make breakfast the next morning for Ace for the first time. I said, okay, I see you. Yeah, you got some making up to do, I suppose. Got that man feeling some type of way, so now you want to get in the kitchen and cook. Well, let her cook. Now, Shelley is saying that she wants to now be closed off with Ace. Girl, I just feel like we could have did this a few days ago. We didn't even have to go through all of this. Oh, that's all y'all had to say to each other. And really, he should have just asked. But maybe at that time she wasn't willing to explore. Maybe that was her way of getting back at him for not choosing her when he had the opportunity to choose her a long time ago. Anywho, Chris and Huda are talking, and Chris is down about basketball, and he said that he had a dream and it made him question whether he should continue. I was thinking he was talking about continuing the villa, but it appears that he was talking about continuing with basketball. He says that he can't put time into other things when he is across the world, meaning to me that he might want to have a family. He wants to go and explore and do other stuff, maybe get into the influencer lifestyle. Who knows? And he can't do that when he's overseas, right? So he says he wants to explore other things. And then she tells him, it's okay to cry, because he said, I'm not going to sit up here and cry. She said, well, if you want to, that's fine. You can cry if you want to. So he says he's having a hard time, trying to give up basketball because that's not something he really wants to do. And then Huda says, well, wait a minute. Hold what you got. I don't really think that you have to give it up. She says, I feel like you can do multiple things at once. And when he does what he loves, then he's a happy person. And that really goes for anybody. So she's offering him the support that he needs. She lets him know, listen, once upon a time, I was broke as fuck. Okay. And I'm a mom. I'm a mommy. Mommy. Okay. I'm a mom. Right? I was broke as fuck at one point, but I always believed that better things was on its way to me, and it happened for me, and I feel like the same thing can happen for you too. So Chris at this point is really feeling connected to Huda because he feels like they both offer each other something and bring different sides out of each other. So the connection between them is getting stronger. Now, I actually like the sit down that the both of them had with each other, but I still have to give Chris a side eye because it's something about him. Okay, so if he switches up at any moment, watch him, just a little piece, okay? Now, Nick tells Brian he was shocked he stood behind Jaden. And Brian says things with Andrina stopped. He started to have a vibe with Jaden, so he decided to stay behind her. But now that Jaden's no longer here, I'm interested in Amaya. He says, we had a chat the other day. I told her that her passion and emotion, it doesn't scare me, right? And Nick says, that's right. A sensitive gangster needs somebody to understand the sensitive gangsterness. And I was like, okay. Period. Amaya chats with Clark and told her she shouldn't have been voted last. She feels bad for her that she was voted last and everything. Clark says that she shouldn't have been voted last, but hey, somebody got to do it,
I get on their ass. Yeah, somebody gotta do it. I made them niggas mad. Yeah, somebody gotta do it.
So then Amaya says, I hope America gets to see Clark the same way that they saw me, okay? And that's the way that I've been trying to show myself out to be in front of everybody at this villa. And they gave me a really hard time, but I'm so glad that America can see me for who I really am. And I hope they see that for you as well. I feel like in the next few weeks, we may be able to see that coming from Clark. I don't know. Now that we've gotten all these people out of the villa, now that there isn't much competitiveness and people worrying about who's exploring and who's not exploring, now we're getting back to the essence of Love Island, in my opinion, where people are trying to figure out their connections and deciding whether we're going to remain closed off or whether we're going to get to a place of closing off, whether we're going to continue to explore or whatever. Okay. I feel like some progression is now happening as we're getting closer to the end of the show. All right. Because it was a total SHI show earlier on. All right. Now, Shelley, we're seeing her put in more effort with Ace because she wants to do this breakfast on the dock situation. So they're sitting there and she's telling him how much she appreciates him. And Ace, believe it or not, in my personal, Ace is acting, real dry. Okay. Ace is acting real dry. He's looking at her like, girl, I'm still mad at you for real. We really did have a necessary talk that we needed to have and how you made me feel. If anything, I feel like you just trying to skirt past that. Like, it was what it was. Like, we just moving forward. I don't like that. But you know what? I feel like what you're doing right here is nice. I appreciate the effort. You trying. You ain't have to do all of that. But I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you for your services, for your support, your appreciation. Thank you. Okay. And that's what he tells her, right? So, of course, he does tell her thank you. Of course, they do kiss and everything, right? Now, she did tell him that the shakeup was enough for her to realize that she doesn't want to lose him. And she's not interested in exploring anybody else. Slow your roll. She told him she's not interested in exploring anybody else. Ace just told her thank you and then said, give me a kiss. But that does not mean that they're closed off, in my opinion. I feel like you got to say it. What he got to say is, okay, he got to also say, do you want to be closed off? Period. So once he says you want to be closed off, then that's just what it is that he's going to give. And then she agrees and we're officially closed off. But at this time, they're not officially closed off in my eyes. But good luck, right? So Elin ends up getting a text, and that is about the crash out challenge that we're about to go and embark on, right? So with this challenge, what they have to do is they have to pick their wingman. They have to run through some doors. One of the doors is going to be stalled. The other door, you're going to go straight through and you're going to bust into a box of balls, right? Then you have to go into like the lily pad slime pool or whatever and hop from lily pad to lily pad, trying to maintain your balance while you're getting all of this slime on you. Then you have to come out of that, go over to, I guess, the circle of truth, where you're going to pretty much tell them what you crashed out over, admit where you crashed out, when you crashed out. And then from that, you're going to go to another area where you're going to choose your person and you're going to tongue kiss them the hell down. And that is how this process goes. So first things first, Nick always picks olandria because he feels like that is his wing woman. They chose a door option, okay? And I believe that she went straight through, but Nick's door, it stalled, okay? And it definitely pushed his wig cap back blue for sure. And I thought that was hilarious. Once he gets to the circle of truth, he does admit about him crashing out, and he pretty much crashed out when he was getting ready to leave the villa. He's like, what the hell? Okay, when I got eliminated from the island, I was trying to crash out, but that crash out didn't last too long because they brought him right back. Okay, so then he also jumped over into the balls. He kissed Sierra, and that's history, right? Then we get Taylor. Taylor was really struggling on that lily pad. I think he picked Ace to be his wingman. He did the lily pad. It was hilarious watching Taylor go through. Then he goes and says that he crashed out when he was twerking for Megan, and I said, no, baby, you crashed out when you snapped back at Olandria. Okay, that was the crash out for me. Anywho, he goes over to the balls. He chooses his girl Clark, and they kiss it down. Ace chose Olandria as his wing woman because he felt like she deserved to have a little bit of fun that day, right? So he crashed out, he says, when Nick left the villa, and he kissed Shelley, as we all know, right? Now, when it comes to Zach chose Amaya as his wing woman, and then says that he chose her because he don't want to do this with anyone else. Okay, so he fake. He fake. That's the short answer. We see you, Zach. When it comes to Amaya, you fake. We'll see how you're going to be with Miss Olandria, okay? So they pretty much do what they do. She jumps through, which is crazy. So as they're running through the door, Zach's door busts straight through. Amaya's didn't. She goes around to his, jumping to the balls, and he pins her down in the balls and started kissing her. And I said, what is going on? The way you men be pretty much contradicting yourselves, walking back your stuff, like, it's just real interesting. Y'all couldn't stand Amaya when she was in a coupling with y'all, and she's technically still coupled up with Zach. But then later on, y'all find yourselves over here kissing her down. Like, I guess, are y'all attracted or you're not? I don't know what's going on, but it's definitely giving clown activity. Aside from that, Zach says that he crashed out when Austin left the villa. Boy, if you don't stop, you didn't even come into the villa with Austin. So the fact that you crashed out when Austin left is crazy. What about the guys that came there with you? You didn't crash out with them? A girl or something? Like, you couldn't pick something else? You crashed out when you sat up there and you joined in with everybody else trying to clown Amaya? That's when you crashed out, okay? That's when you crashed. You crashed out when you was calling yourself standing on business. Not no damn crashing out over Austin. Boy, go away from us with this, please. He chose Olandria to kiss, and baby, she was popping that thing on him for sure. Ace over there shook, mouth wide open, didn't know what to say, didn't know what to do, just shook. I don't know why. They've been trying to connect, so I don't know why. Chris chose Brian because he felt like he could really trust him with anything, right? As his wingman. So they ended up doing their whole process, and he said that he crashed out when he found out the beds in Love Island wasn't big enough for him, I guess. And then he chose Huda, and they kissed. Now, Pepe chose Taylor, and he says he chose Taylor because Taylor is one of the most respectful boys there. I said, what? Taylor and him was locked in from the beginning. I said, what? Taylor the most? That's okay, Taylor. Okay, Taylor. I want to see more of Taylor's personality now that he is coupled up with Clark. Taylor just might not be that bad. However, the fact that you can't stand on your own and you did stand on business in front of your boys will always make me side eye you. So I don't know if I try to give you the benefit of the doubt and then it gets snatched right back. Okay, but we'll continue to see. The show's not over. He ended up choosing Iris. Pepe did. He chose Iris for him to kiss. Olandria gets in the confessional and says that she wasn't surprised because Pepe got a type. I know that's right, girl. He do. You right. You ain't never lied. Elin chose Sierra, okay, as his wing woman, and he crashed out when he realized that Nick was still staying in the villa, honey. He eventually chooses Iris, and they kiss it down. So Brian ends up choosing Huda as his wing woman. Once it's time for him to tell what he crashed out over, he says, I almost crashed out over sight. I ain't never crashed out. I said, I know that's right, honey. Then he chooses Amaya Papaya. They kiss it down, and all is well. Now, Nick also encouraged them to kiss again. And I said, okay, Nick, I guess they kissed again because obviously Nick at this point is very well aware that this guy is interested in Amaya Papaya. So he kisses Amaya and he puts their hand on their booty. I said, okay. Okay, the girls like a little rub on the booty, just a little piece now. Okay, so all right, it was cute. I was here for it. The girls decide that Ace was the ultimate crash out. Amaya says that she was so surprised that Brian chose her to kiss her, right? Then Pepe is asked about how he felt about his kiss with Iris. I felt like personally Pepe was trying to downplay this kiss. He didn't want to admit anything. He just says, listen, I just didn't want to choose one of y'all girls because I didn't want to make it a messy type situation. So I just chose her, you know what I'm saying, on some cool type stuff and let's just have fun. Yeah, but you could have chose Olandria. You could have chose Olandria. She's not coupled up, hasn't been coupled up with anybody. You was over here just being best buddies and besties of friends with TJ, right? And told him how much you love the relationship that he has with Iris and all of that, right? You just said that. So you wouldn't want to piss TJ off outside of the villa? Yeah, you knew what you were doing. And I don't really like that Pepe ain't really making it known that he is a bit interested in Iris. If he has told that to somebody, maybe it's been one person, but he's been really keeping it on the low just a bit. But we'll see it developing over time because the girls aren't shocked by what's happening and what they see because all of them, not just Olandria, knows that Pepe has a type and there's no other type in the villa for him but Iris. Now, Iris says that she was surprised that they've never explored each other before, but she has to admit that she would explore him. Even though she still missed TJ, it's not something that she would turn down at this particular time. Hello? Now, when it comes to Amaya and Zach, they're having a chit chat, and now he wants to be a gentleman. I said, boy, go ahead somewhere. Go on. So Zach says because it was a challenge, he felt like he needed to bring some heat to the challenge when they were doing the stand on business. You didn't need to bring any heat to the challenge at all because she wasn't really talking to you. She was more so talking to the person that wrote the letter in front of all of y'all, but there was absolutely no need for you to step forward to say anything to Amaya. You chose to do that because that's just how you is, right? So he says until he saw her cry, that's when he was like, oh, dang, I feel bad. Yeah, boy, lies. Don't believe you at all. I feel like he's a liar when it comes to that. I feel like you went in on her the very next day. Even when you sat down, you tried to still tell her about how she was too much, how she kissed you, but you didn't want to really kiss her back. Like, are you okay? Hello? Did you get it or did you not? So Amaya says that she was really angry and she doesn't like to use vulgar words or profanity. She does go on to apologize to him and for telling him to shut the fuck up. Okay. She felt really bad about that. He says he put himself in her shoes. I'm the type of guy that puts myself in your shoes. And he says he apologized. I said, boy, so you had so many times to put yourself in her shoes and you didn't. Go away from us with this, please. Okay. I said, Amaya, baby, please do not take the bait because I feel like he's full of SHIT, especially after he realizes who you are to America's sweetheart. Let's keep going. So she feels bad for calling him out of his name and she apologizes and says that she was just in a bad place. Amaya says she does feel like the romantic connection, though, has come to an end. At least that's what she said in the confessional. I didn't hear her say that to him, but she said it in the confessional. And either way, I was praise dancing. You understand? I was like, yes, Amaya, let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Like, let it go, girl. Period. Anywho, so Nick and Sierra, they go to Soul Ties and she feels great since they've closed things off. And he says he doesn't know what closed off means in the real world. I told y'all there are two different things. Told y'all closed off does not mean girlfriend, boyfriend. Okay, if that's what it was, he would ask her, would you be my girlfriend? No, he said you want to be closed off. So she says, yeah, you know what? It is two different things. So closed off in the villa means not exploring other people. But in the real world, I would think it translates the same. I said, exactly. Yeah, it would translate the same. So why would you think that they're different? So pretty much it means when you're on the outside and you're closed off, you're not exploring other people. You guys are dating exclusively, but you're not officially in a girlfriend-boyfriend relationship. And I feel like Nick had a sigh of relief because that's not what it is that Nick wants. He's not trying to just leave out the villa and just automatically be in a relationship with a chick. No. So I definitely believe that Nick will be doing what he has done the entire time he's been in this villa, and that is dating you, but exploring others. So honestly, you guys won't be closed off. You might be cracked off, meaning the door is cracked because Nick is going to be tiptoeing in and out of that motherfucker. Honestly, but good luck. Shelley finally chats with Chris and she says the night of standing on business was a lot of miscommunication happening, right? And Chris felt like he did too much and should have taken a step back, to be honest. And I said, sir, stop lying. You wasn't doing too much. You didn't want to chase her. And maybe that is how he felt, but it really was ultimately you wasn't receiving anything in return. And so you just fell back, all right? And you went with what was easy for you. He says, because you were doing your thing over there with Ace, I just felt like, let me just focus on Huda, all right? I feel like ultimately it worked out for the both of y'all. Let's move on, right? They both agree that they are all good. They're all cool. It's no hard feelings. They're both going to focus on their couplings and they're happy. They're at peace. Iris and Pepe are sitting over there on the dock, okay? Pretty much getting it connected even more. He says he picked her because she wanted to know, why would you pick me to kiss on, okay? And he says he picked her because he felt more comfortable with her. She talks about hating sleeping alone because she don't do that even in real life, okay? In the real world, she doesn't do that. She says that she doesn't really date much on the outside. She's only had 3 boyfriends. She's never cheated. She's always been a loyal woman, okay? These two are really vibing with each other. Pepe is telling her, hey, I can actually relate because I like to sleep with my dog, okay? My dog is in the bed. She says, yes, my dog could get in the bed with me too. So they're already not liking sleeping alone, okay? She says that she really never considered him as an option, but now she's starting to rethink that, okay? I said, girl, he just might be forgetting Miss Hannah Banana. So Nick and Sierra are chatting about Pepe and thinks things are weird. He's seeing the connection happening, but it doesn't seem like Nick is in support of that because he's like, TJ just left. right? Especially if that was your boy and you didn't want to be messy or make things a little awkward, I suppose. But okay. Go for what you know because we know what your type is, and that's perfectly okay. Amaya and Brian are chatting. Amaya talks about not going out much, but only for special occasions. I said, I know that's right. These people too crazy, girl. Just step out when it's those times, all right? She says her love language is physical touching in a good way, though. And he says, you ain't even got to do all that with me, okay? He lets her know, hey, I don't care nothing about what those people out there talking because they just talking. I don't care nothing. Like, they can't even keep it real with their stuff out there, so I don't expect them to keep it real about you. Let them folks do what they're going to do. I'm here to meet you for myself. I want to form my own thoughts about you based on my own personal experience, period. He says the cons that they may have mentioned are pros for me. I don't care nothing about what them folks talking about. I love that, Brian. Come on. Brian says, don't let that SH out of those folks said change who you are. And I said, come on, she needs that reinforcement because that's similar to what Sierra just told her a few days prior. Amaya tells him he gives her a very safe aura. She doesn't need someone that she can't express or be herself around. I said, I know that's right. I'm loving this. The whole time I was feeling the vibe for them to kiss a bit, but I was like, please don't ask, please don't ask, please don't ask, please don't ask, please don't ask this man to kiss him, please. And what he says, because you could tell he was trying to find the moment to ask her for a kiss, right? He was trying to be cool with it. He said, I got you blushing. And he stayed on that blushing thing for a moment. I said, oh, he want to kiss her. He's trying to figure out the right moment. That's why he kept tapping that pillow next to him. So then he said, come here. Ooh. That's all it took because my girl jumps over there and she ends up kissing him down. It took her a minute to straddle him. And I was like, girl, just get on top of that man. Just get on top of that man in that moo-moo you got on. So they kissed it down and he was talking about how he liked her attire. And I said, you know what? I don't recall us ever really seeing any islander in the muumuu like that or whatever dress it was, okay? But obviously he liked it, okay? It gave him a different type of vibe. They got back to kissing on each other and I 1000% love this so much for Miss Amaya. I love it. I'm liking this. I told you guys this is something that I can vote for at this particular time. This is something that I can vote for unless he and she show me something different to change my mind, okay? But that's all I got for you guys at this time. I want you all to leave your thoughts and comments down below on who you supporting and who you not supporting, who you loving, who you rather be hugging, okay? Leave all of that down below in the comments. Of course, I am Jamie, that's me. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. You can find me on social media at Jamie, that's me, honey. Do what you're supposed to do. And of course, I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.
Tell them I preach to the choir. Stand with my feet to the fire. Give all the glory to God. Stand in the midst of these haters, I'm silent, nobody can stop me. Just gotta check in my notification, them numbers hit like it's a practice. Cashed out at the ATM, and the ATL, they done made a gym. I've been kicking doors like the ATF, got them trying to clone me like ages. Game time, I invade the gym, high elevated, I can face the rim. Putting shots up, I got laser focus, about to take it over. I'm Invader Zim, on a trip to Florida like it's A&M. Who that nigga, man, they say I'm him. Spit the truth, never wasting film, I can feel it.